Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Monday, May the 5th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local share market is set for a positive start to the week with ASX futures up around 0.4%. Global equity markets rallied on Friday with investor sentiment buoyed by a strong US employment report and signs China is open to tariff negotiations. Wall Street's major indices finishing up more than 1% each, with the S&P 500 marking its longest daily winning streak in more than 20 years. For the week, the S&P and Dow gained 3%, the Nasdaq 3.5%, while the small cap index also did well. Apple shares retreated on Friday after cutting its share buyback program by $10 billion, while warning that tariffs could add around $900 million in costs this quarter. Amazon closed down slightly after reporting first quarter cloud revenue growth and forecasting operating income that both missed estimates. Other Mag 7 stocks such as Meta and Nvidia rose. Chevron and ExxonMobil gained after both energy giants reported quarterly results. And Block tumbled, mirroring its Australian listed shares after cutting its profit forecast and missing estimates for quarterly earnings. General Motors warned of a $4 to $5 billion hit to earnings, and American Airlines withdrew profit forecasts. And European equity funds attracted the largest weekly inflow in over a year last week, while US funds saw outflows of around $15.5 billion for the third straight week on continued uncertainty around the impact of tariffs on global economic growth. Well, US job growth slowed in April, with non-farm payrolls increasing by 177,000 after being downwardly revised 185,000 in March. The economy needs to create around 100,000 jobs per month to keep up with growth in working age population. The unemployment rate held steady at 4.2% last month. Meanwhile, on the trade front, China's Commerce Ministry said on Friday that the US has recently sent messages to China through relevant parties, hoping to start talks with China, which it's currently evaluating, saying attempting to use talks as a pretext to engage in coercion and extortion would not work, it said. Well, US Treasury yields rose to a one-week high on the release of the jobs data. The 10-year was at 4.33%, the 2-year rose to 3.84%. And the US dollar closed down slightly, and the Aussie dollar rising to 64.5 US cents in wake of the emphatic election result, which saw the Labor government returned with an increased majority. And Bitcoin is trading just above 95,000 US dollars. Oil prices fell more than 1% on Friday and recorded their biggest weekly loss since the end of March, as traders turned cautious ahead of an OPEC Plus meeting to decide the group's output policy for June. Brent crude futures closing down close to 1.5% at $61 a barrel, to be down 8% for the week. Copper was up 1%, iron ore down 1% to $97 a tonne, and gold edged lower on Friday and was headed for a second consecutive weekly loss, although US futures settled 0.5% higher at $3,243 an ounce. Locally this week, the Melbourne Institute releases its April inflation gauge today, while ANZ has a read on job ads for the month. Tomorrow sees the household spending indicator for March, along with building approvals, and on Friday, business turnover for March is released. Overseas, US ISM Services Index tonight, along with the S&P Global Services Index. Tuesday, China's Caixin Services Index, and the US trade balance for March. Wednesday, the US Fed delivers its interest rate decision with no change expected, and the Bank of England makes its decision the following day. On the corporate front, the focus this week is on the bank's half-year earnings results from ANZ, NAB and Macquarie Group, and this morning, Westpac has revealed an interim profit of $3.5 billion, which is down 1% and a slight miss on market forecasts. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.